Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Bruce Barnum. I'm CCLP's Development Director, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the second segment of our premier annual event, Communities Against Poverty. Here in this session, we will be celebrating our awardees, the Champions of Economic Justice and Equity Awards. They are all here with us, and we have some of our amazing staff members who are going to introduce them. Should be a lot of fun over the next hour. So thank you all for joining us. And of course, we have a special guest who's also going to join us in just a few minutes. But first, let me give you a couple of logistical details. Everyone who isn't on screen is joined as a participant, so this is webinar mode, so you won't be able to jump in. But if you have a question, you can put it in the Q&A box. Otherwise, welcome. This is our 7th annual event. We used to call it Pathways from Poverty, but we've updated the title to match our new mission statement and vision updated this year. All right, and with that, it is my pleasure to thank our sponsors for the Champions Awards. We have two fantastic presenting sponsors up on your screen right now, the Aloha Foundation, and also a very generous anonymous benefactor of CCLP. And our supporting sponsor for this session is the Interfaith Alliance of Colorado. So thank you to our sponsors, especially this year. We really appreciate your support. And with that, it's also my pleasure to introduce to you your friend and our fearless leader, Tiffany Lennon, the Executive Director of CCLP. Take it away, Tiffany. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you all for joining us. If you're joining us again, welcome back. And if you're joining us for the first time, we're glad you're here. I'd like to also add to the administrative housekeeping items to please remember to share details about the event on your social media feeds. We'd love to get the word out about, particularly for this segment, around those who were recognized by CCLP for their tireless work. Before we announce the Economic Justice and Equity Awards, I have the privilege of introducing a very special guest, Lieutenant Governor Diane Primavera. Lieutenant Governor Primavera is driven by three things: patient and health advocacy, making Colorado a better place for everyone and her family. As a former state lawmaker, her commitment to public service is evident. She believes in working across the political aisles to accomplish what is best for Colorado. She promoted small businesses, lowered prescription drug costs, and expanded access to affordable health care. Before becoming Lieutenant Governor, Diane Primavera served nonprofit organizations, Rocky Mountain Regional Brain Injury Center and Susan G. Komen of Colorado. And since, she has brought and continues to bring her patient advocacy to public service as Lieutenant Governor. She joins us today to help us recognize the incredible contribution of community leaders from across the state. She understands from experience the tireless fortitude that it takes to be a successful advocate. So without further ado, CCLP would like to extend a very warm welcome to Colorado Lieutenant Governor Primavera. Governor Primavera, I turn it over to you.
Well, thank you, Tiffany, for that really kind introduction. And thank you to the Colorado Center on Law and Policy for having me here today, and for all the work that you do to address the root causes of poverty and expand access to healthcare in our state. I see Allison on the screen, and I've seen her in front of committee many times, I think. So I'd also like to congratulate today's award winners and the many other folks in attendance who've dedicated their lives to achieving equity for all Coloradoans. You know, when Governor Polis and I took office, we committed ourselves to building a Colorado for all. We're so grateful for partners to have, partners like all of you helping us achieve this vision. And there's no question that this pandemic has changed nearly every aspect of our daily lives and has further exacerbated and illuminated the systemic inequalities that we are facing. Throughout my career, as Tiffany mentioned, I've been a patient advocate, and I've actually been diagnosed with cancer 4 times and survived some pretty major cancer diagnoses. So I know what it's like to wonder whether or not you can pay your medical bills while raising your family and putting food on the table all at the same time. But you know, I was really a fortunate one. I had a strong support system around me and access to the medical care that I needed to get well. But too many of our neighbors still have to choose between the health care they so desperately need and making their ends meet. And being able to get the right care at the right time can really be a matter of life or death. So that includes being able to afford health insurance, the right medications, all the doctor's visits that are required, and the associated out-of-pocket costs. So as Coloradoans and people across the country are facing unprecedented economic challenges, affording all that is required to get well is even harder, especially for communities that are disproportionately facing the negative economic and health effects of COVID-19. And now, because of this pandemic, many Coloradoans are avoiding potentially life-saving screenings or checkups that could catch a disease early. Since taking office, the governor and I have made it a priority to lower the cost of healthcare for all Coloradoans, because you can't have accessibility without affordability. And that need is greater now than ever before. During our first 2 years in office, we've worked to lower the cost of prescription drugs, established a reinsurance program to save money for Coloradoans who don't get their insurance through their employer, and even expand coverage to some Coloradoans who don't have access. And I know Cclp has been very involved in increasing access to health insurance recently. For example, by championing the Easy Enrollment Bill, House Bill 20-1236, which allows people to apply for health insurance through their Colorado tax filing. This year, we're working closely with the legislature to create the Colorado option, which would provide Coloradoans even more opportunities to access affordable health insurance. Earlier this month, the governor released his fiscal year 2021-2022 budget proposal, which includes $38 million in investments to promote health equity and social justice, as well as increase access to behavioral health and improve our state's readiness for future disease outbreaks. And in the midst of this pandemic, we've worked to expand telehealth services to ensure that Coloradoans are getting the care that they need, no matter their zip code or their transportation. Just as access to healthcare is important, we need to give Coloradoans a chance to receive affordable care for the whole person. This pandemic has forced us all to limit our social interactions, meaning our normal support systems are not in place. Many have lost their jobs, are supporting their children with at-home learning, and are facing unprecedented levels of stress as a result of this pandemic. But recent findings from the Office of eHealth Innovation, which is also in my office, and the Colorado Health Institute point to a 600% increase in the use of telemedicine for anxiety, substance use, and depression. In the spring of 2019, Governor Polis created the Behavioral Health Task Force to boldly reimagine how we deliver mental health and substance use care to Coloradoans. In September, the task force released its blueprint with recommendations for how we can streamline care in the state by making it equitable, efficient, affordable, and accessible through the creation of a behavioral health administration. The blueprint restructures and reimagines behavioral health care in Colorado. No longer should Coloradoans adapt to a complex bureaucratic system. Instead, the system should adapt to the unique needs of each Coloradoan. So I'm especially proud that this plan outlines ways to better serve those who have historically faced barriers to care, including Coloradoans of color, Coloradoans who are American Indians and Alaska Natives, Coloradoans with a variety of disabilities, LGBTQ+ Coloradoans, and of course, our veterans. In addition to the recommendations of the task force, this year's budget proposal includes $20 million to address IT needs to expand for behavioral healthcare access across the state, as well as $100 million to provide Coloradoans critical services to combat substance use disorders and opioid addictions, and this begins January 2021. So in conclusion, I'd really like to thank again the Colorado Center on Law and Policy for your work on these critical issues, as well as many others. The decades you have dedicated to addressing the root causes of poverty and expanding access to healthcare has been critical. Physical and behavioral health care is just one of the areas where we are seeing how systemic inequalities are negatively impacting the lives of Coloradoans. So I'm proud of all the work that's been done. I know that we have plenty left to do. So I'm happy that we can partner together to make Colorado one of the best places to live for every person in our state. So thank you. And now I'll turn it back over to you, Tiffany.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant Governor, and thank you for taking the time to talk with us today. Now I would like to officially welcome you to CCLP's Communities Against Poverty Awards segment. This is an event that I and others have been looking forward to, celebrating our community partners. You know, every conversation at CCLP starts with who in the community can or should we connect with on this? Whether we are advancing litigation, policy, or forging cutting-edge research, we look to the leaders we share the anti-poverty space with to propose solutions plaguing Coloradans from all four corners of the state. CCLP understands the vital importance of coalition building, understands the role of collaboration, and embodies these values in all the work we do. Partner organizations are only as good as the people who occupy the roles within those organizations. CCLP is deeply fortunate to work with a number of effective partners. Today, we recognize only 4 of them. We selected 4 award recipients this year from hundreds of possibilities. The Economic Justice and Equity Awards highlight the work of these 4 community leaders. The awards will recognize a stellar legislator, a community partner, an advocate, and a government partner of the year. So I will now turn to Shar Robert, CCLP Legislative Director, to recognize the Colorado Legislature of the Year. Shar?
Sorry about that. Hello, everybody, and thank you, Tiffany. A basic recommendation for advocates is to identify your champions. A champion is someone who has a passion for your issue and is willing to fight for your issue. I first witnessed Senator Julie Gonzalez's passion and fight before she became a legislator, as she moved people at rallies and meetings for the long-fought Colorado Asset Bill, which extended the in-state tuition rate to all Colorado high school graduates, regardless of their immigration status. And it's always a special thrill to see a community advocate become a policymaker. Senator Gonzalez was born in Arizona and grew up in South Texas. She's the 6th of 7 children. Her mother was a teacher and her father was a rancher and a medical cannabis producer. She graduated from Yale before moving to Denver to become a policy director for the Meyer Law Firm. In 2008, she was elected senator for District 34, which includes West, North, and parts of downtown Denver. She serves as vice chair of the Judiciary Committee and a member of the Finance Committee and the Appropriations Committee. She sponsored a variety of legislation in 2020 related to immigration, criminal justice, and consumer protection. CCLP in particular is recognizing her leadership on housing assistance for tenants who are facing eviction, as well as the expansion of our state earned income tax credit. I want to introduce our Legislator of the Year, Senator Julie Gonzalez.
Thank you so much, Chair. It's great to see all of you. It's great to see, and it's great to be in this community. And I'm so humbled to be able to join you all today in support of such a tremendous partner, CCLP. I just want to also appreciate the Lieutenant Governor's words, where she talked about something that I really fundamentally believe and have fought for both outside the Capitol and inside the Capitol as well. And that's this idea that crisis exacerbates inequality. We know, you all know that deep in your bones. And in this moment, 2020, y'all, has been a doozy because we've been navigating multiple crises at the same time, right? Whether we're talking about the pandemic, the economic inequalities that we're navigating, the climate crisis, the racial reckoning, the mental health strains, right? And the pressure points that these multiple crises have put on all of our systems, right? It can feel exhausting. It can feel overwhelming. And there are moments where you want to shut down and close in, right? And what I find tremendous, and that's okay, that's cool, that's real, but at the same time, it is when we come together through all of those inequities and all of those systemic problems, when we come together, find solutions, y'all, we're unstoppable. And we've been able to achieve those victories by working together, by listening to the folks closest to the pain to figure out what are the solutions that will work for everyone, right? And so I'm so proud of everything that we've been able to accomplish together, particularly in this moment, right? And I'll just, I'm gonna wonk out with y'all for just a second because we have just come off of a legislative session in which we had to, as a state, cut $3.3 billion from our state budget. That's one data point I wanna share with you. However, a second data point that I also wanna share with you was reported in the Denver Post this summer. And that was that 10 billionaires in the state of Colorado made $6.8 billion in profit around roughly the same period as the time in which the state budget had to cut $3.3 billion. And so what that demonstrates to us is that we are in a K-shaped economy at this moment, right? This idea that while the rest of us are struggling, the rich are getting richer, right? And we have to acknowledge that that is the reality of our fiscal policy. That is the reality at the state level and at the federal level. And okay, if we recognize that that's what's happening, what are we going to do to fix it, right? How do we, in the midst of all of these crises, come together and find solutions, right? And it's, again, by working together, by building strong coalitions, and fighting with everything that we got. And so I'm so proud to have worked alongside Cclp and so many others to have fought tooth and nail to make our tax system more fair. And by expanding the access to the earned income tax credit, right? I'm so proud to have worked alongside of y'all to have fought for true housing justice, right? Particularly in the moment of this pandemic. We win some, we lose some, but the work of continuing to fight to make our systems more just continues. Yeah, we're gonna be in an extraordinary session in just a couple of, I don't know, days or weeks. It's imminent. And even then, we'll continue to fight. We'll continue to work together in January and for many years to come. Thank you so much for this recognition. And it's going to be fun to continue to strategize and to build solutions together. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you again so much, Senator Gonzalez. And good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jack Reagan-Bogan. I'm a senior attorney here at Cclp. And I am so excited to present our next Champion of Economic Justice and Equity Award for Community Partners to 9 to 5 Colorado. Part of a national organization of working women, 9 to 5 Colorado has fought and won many policy victories that have made a lasting change for Colorado women, families, and people of color. In advocacy circles, 9 to 5 is well known for their integrity, their fearlessness, their compassion, their unrelenting dedication, and their commitment to racial and economic equity. This year alone, their work on paid family leave, rental late fees, and bills to reform the Mobile Home Park Act demonstrates both the breadth of their expertise and the depth of their political courage. 9 to 5 staff has immense integrity, and they're willing to fight for meaningful progress even when it's been incredibly difficult. They never opt for the easiest path, but rather they endeavor to make systemic change that really matters in people's lives. Just to name one example, when the state government was unwilling to pass a robust paid family and medical leave policy, 9 to 5 was willing to take that fight directly to the ballot box. And in the recent election, their years of work culminated in a historic victory that will ensure working families have the opportunity to take time off without sacrificing their jobs. 9 to 5 are also fantastic partners, and they've gone above and beyond in offering support to CCLP and to so many other organizations. I personally consider myself so grateful and indebted to 9 to 5 for all of their collaboration, especially on efforts to prevent evictions, protect tenants from predatory fees, and to keep people housed. On numerous occasions, I have watched in awe as they have stared down some of the most highly funded interest groups in the state, and using the strength of their community members, prevailed in securing monumental progress. 9 to 5 Colorado embodies the best in how robust grassroots organizing can compel and drive institutional changes. The people of Colorado have benefited immensely from their advocacy, and I am just so happy to have this opportunity today to highlight their amazing work. With that, I would like to thank 9 to 5 staff, and I invite Luz Galicia, housing organizer at 9 to 5, to accept this award on their behalf.
Wow, thank you so much. I don't know what else to say. You said everything. And I usually have speech, and I usually change the speech after I hear Senator Gonzalez and you. And I just wanna say, I used to live in a mobile home 6 years ago. My community was displaced, 110 families. But this time I didn't know anything about organizing, but I guess I had the skills. 9 to 5 came and helped us to organize the community and to fight back to the landlord and to educate legislators, city councilors to understand how this is affecting so many people. 9 to 5 is being changing powers, and we know that to change power, there's 2 ways to have power. Money, we don't have. People, we do have. So that's the beauty of 9 to 5. They create system to change power and to change shifts. And that's exactly what we do through training, through fighting, through legislation. And something that Tiffany mentioned was the passion to fight for justice. We have the passion. Everything what we do, it comes from our heart. And my colleagues, co-workers, they're such a warriors. They're restless. They're incredible community oriented. And what we do is to inform, educate, and empower residents and people to shift the power. I'm very happy, and you said everything what the last wins for 9 to 5, legislation to protect mobile homes, Proposition 118, that was such a win. And I was sharing with my colleagues 9 to 5 that I put my sign jars in my house. And when we win, my neighbor just texts me and I said, Luz, we win. And it was amazing that because that means that it was nothing, something that 9 to 5 just created and wanted. We made this to the people, for the people, and we win. So I'm so happy and so pleased to be an honor to be part of 9 to 5. And just like my other coworkers, we're just fighting for justice, protecting protecting women, protecting people of color, bringing the voice, the underrepresented people with the brain and heart of all of us. So I'm honored to be here. I'm very thankful to be here. And I just think that what 9 to 5 is doing is just the beginning of something that is coming, that is gonna be amazing. If, like Senator Gonzalez said, if we work together as an organization, and together means that nobody has the crown, everybody works together in a common goal. So thank you so much to all of you. Thank you so much. In behalf of 9 to 5, I take this award. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Jack, Senator, Shar, and Luz. I'm so inspired right now by this message that's coming through and all of your remarks around us being powerful together and finding power in that and exerting power in that. And I'm just so glad to be a part of this. And I'm really most excited at this moment to be able to present this Champion of Economic Justice and Equity Award to our community partner and fierce advocate, Karla Gonzales Garcia. Karla is an extraordinary champion for people and for communities that have experienced traumas of violence and oppression. In her native Peru, where she obtained a bachelor's degree in psychology, Karla counseled child victims of sexual assault and worked to support kindergartners with learning disabilities. After moving to the United States, Karla continued her life of service, advocating for survivors of intimate partner violence and for the rights of immigrants and their families. Guided by her commitment to social and racial justice, Karla obtained a second degree in Women and Gender Studies at Colorado State University in Fort Collins, overcoming the challenges of pursuing a degree in her second language. And in her current role as the policy director at the Colorado Organization for Latina Opportunity and Reproductive Rights, or COLOR, Karla is a force for equity. She's compassionate, she's strategic, she's wicked smart, and she's brave. She models for advocates, for lobbyists, and for legislators alike what it means to root systems change work in core values for human dignity and justice, especially for people that have long been denied both. By standing firmly in her values, Karla has become a well-known and effective advocate for reproductive rights and immigrant rights in Colorado. Staff at CCLP, including myself, have been honored and inspired to work closely with her on legislation, including Senate Bill 2215, which for the first time dedicates state funding to make affordable health insurance options available to people who've been denied access to healthcare because of their immigration status. We've learned from Karla, we've been inspired and encouraged by her, and she's held us to account. On a personal note, I want to thank Karla for lifting me up as a woman of color in this work, and for never letting me doubt the value and strength of my voice. Thank you, Karla. For her character and her powerful work that's rooted in love, I'm proud and honored to recognize Karla as a champion of economic justice and equity in Colorado.
Oh my gosh, Allison, now you're like, thank you, love. Sorry. Thank you so much for your words. Thank you, CCLP, for all the beautiful things that you are creating for our communities. I want to take a little note here because my family is watching me from Peru right now. So, hola, mami, Pedro, Irina, Yada. So I don't have my family here, so they got a link and they're watching me right now. Okay. First of all, I'm super honored, incredibly honored to be with such amazing advocates. Senadora Gonzalez, my queen, like the person that I look up to do the work that I do. And just like letting you all know that even though I know, like, you know, like the recognition that we are getting right now, and just taking into the words of Senadora, from Luz, is all the work that we have done together. Like, we create power together. We just can't go along and like fight the fights that we have, because at the end of the day, we are the only thing that we could do. If we do that, we are just going to burn ourselves to our grounds. And right now, as the world is shifting, our political landscape is shifting, like we need to recognize that we don't need martyrs. We need ancestors. We need people that are going to keep fighting, not just for ourselves, but for the lives of our communities. And trying to piggyback into something that Senator Gonzalez said, like right now with our economic system, that truly is just set up for the most wealthy among us to keep being wealthy. When we have folks who do not have documentation, the proper documentation, that have just 2 to 3 days of food, if they have that are struggling right now with housing, that do not have access to healthcare. And we still hear narratives of how we need to do, how we need to work in our economic recovery. And to me, it's like economic recovery. We have a very high amount of Latinos right now getting sick because of COVID and getting hospitalized. I want to make sure that the narratives have changed. I want to make sure that the narratives are about the lives of our people. That's who we need to center. Economic recovery is can't be centered, because who drive the economy are us, the people, not just like the money that is out there. And if we truly want to make changes in our communities, we have to change the system and we have to change the narratives, because nothing is going to get accomplished if we keep centering economic recovery instead of centering the lives of the most marginalized among us, so we can produce the changes that are going to take us all to our liberation and the freedom that we are all dreaming about it. So CCLP, Allison, it has been such an honor to work with you, love. That incredible brain that you have, the passion, like the whole how you put your whole self into this, it is for me an inspiration, as well as Miss Senadora. I'm gonna keep talking about her too, because she's my queen. So, because you all literally like help me to not just to do the work, but always thinking in ways that we can create a different world for all of us. Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Thank you, Carla. And we've heard about such spectacular work today. I wish Lieutenant Governor Primavera and Senator Gonzales, Luz Garcia, and Carla, and our next award recipient could hear the applause, or maybe the honks for this time of year, or this year. And I'm really pleased to be introducing Marivel Klueckman. And I'm happy to be giving her the award on CCLP's behalf of Government Partner of the Year. Marivel is the Eligibility Division Director at the Department of Healthcare Policy and Financing, overseeing the work of ensuring that federal and state requirements are carried out, that as a state we explore flexibilities related to eligibility processes that can expand coverage, and that eligible Coloradans can get covered through Medicaid and Child Health Plus in each of our 64 counties. Medicaid meets the needs of a diverse set of Coloradans, ranging from newborns to working adults to youth and foster care placements, to pregnant women to older Coloradans who rely on both Medicare and Medicaid. Both citizens and immigrants with a variety of immigration statuses are eligible. And eligibility requirements differ for all of those categories. As a result, Medicaid eligibility is complicated. Eligibility correspondence is complicated, and training state and county staff is complicated. The COVID pandemic and political changes have made it still more so. So it's a tough and technical job. Marivel stands out for several reasons. She's a native Coloradan and her parents emigrated from Mexico, and her rich background gives her notable skills and strengths. She's passionate about her family. She has 2 young sons, one very young, and passionate about her work. It's apparent that she also values the passion and commitment of her staff, and that she recognizes the value of cultural, racial, and ethnic diversity and of lived experience. She has found a way despite public sector salaries and there always being way too much for too few staff to do, to retain staff members and build their expertise over time. Marivel's and her staff's years of experience on the job mean that stakeholders like CCLP are dealing with a knowledgeable group and have the opportunity to build relationships over time. What also makes Marivel stand out, though, is the partnership she has established with advocates and other stakeholders. She and her team meet and speak with stakeholders and hash through these complex and sometimes contentious issues with grace and professionalism. From my conversations with colleagues in the rest of the country, I know that is not always the case in other states. In Marivel's division, others' viewpoints are heard and considered, and well-researched arguments from advocates often lead to changes or corrections. This is not to say that CCLP necessarily gets the changes we're seeking, but that the door to argument and conversation is open. That open door policy, that receptiveness to thoughtful input and criticism, and the ability to change course when needed, those are really the cornerstones of good government. None of us can do what we do without good government. Often enough, we are on the same page because I believe we fundamentally agree that functional and hopefully even more accessible Medicaid and CHIP programs are the foundation of a future where Coloradans can achieve better health over the course of their lifespans. Making sure that eligible Coloradans get enrolled is the first step in getting there. So thank you to Marivel, CCLP's Government Partner of the Year.
Thank you so much, Bethany. Those are some very kind words. Thank you all very much. I'm very honored to receive this award as a government partner for the Champions of Economic Justice and Equity. And I just want to make sure that you know that I'm accepting this award, not just for me, but on behalf of my team and my colleagues. We all share a passion and work very tirelessly to make a difference in the lives of Coloradans. As Bethany mentioned, Medicaid and CHIP plus eligibility policy and operations is not easy to understand. It's not easy to implement. It's got lots of complications. The way I talk to my team about it is we have right now 1.3 million members on Colorado and counting, and it's not fair to say one policy is going to be addressing the unique needs of 1.3 million members, right? And so that's why it's so important for us to be partnering and hearing from everyone on what's working, what's not working, what can we do better, what can we do different. And so I'll tell you that in 2010, I'm going to go back a tiny bit, we celebrated the passing of the Affordable Care Act, and we're quickly overwhelmed with the details and the nuances to be able to implement appropriately and make sure that we're getting the access to care and expanding coverage to Coloradans. This is one of my fondest memories of what a difference it makes to collaborate and engage with community partners. We reached out to our partners and asked them to join us as we overhauled our eligibility rules and operations, covering kids and families, Colorado Legal Services, Colorado Center on Law and Policy, counties, MA sites, our sister agency, Colorado Department of Human Services, and others came, answered the call for help and joined us in numerous sessions as we scoured through all the rules and made some overhauls to it. I have to say this was magical. It was so amazing to kind of see the little light bulbs going off, to Bethany's point, to hearing different perspectives and sometimes agreeing to disagree, but we came together to make such a big difference, and we implemented it. It took us 7 months, and I think we still hold the record for the most number of pages in a rule packet. It was over 100 pages that we submitted, and I have to tell you that those 100 pages included lots of laughs, tears, and sweat from all of my team and our community partners. Now, during this pandemic, we need to find and hold on to the positives that exist. And one positive that I'll share is that, again, we are closely collaborating with our community and our eligibility partners in an effort to make sure that we're supporting Coloradans during this time of need. We are vetting solutions, policies, communication strategies, and even leaning on each other as on a personal level to help get through this. As Lieutenant Governor Primavera talked about, people being afraid to get care right now, we're soliciting, let's come together and hear what's going on out there, what's happening, how can we make a difference? Because I'll be honest, I can't do this by myself, right? It needs to be a team effort. And Senator Gonzalez talked about we need to be coming together to really bring together what our solutions are, what our ideas, what's going on out there, and how do we make sure that we help the Coloradans? How do we make sure that, Carla talked about the Latino population there, an increase of COVID. What can we do a little bit differently to address the Latino population out there and help them out and get the access to healthcare that they need? Never have the words, we are in this together, been so extremely meaningful and powerful. And I'm so grateful to be part of this action. I'm very grateful to be partnering with everyone and making a difference here. I have to thank everyone that I've partnered with and that gone on the quest to provide access to healthcare and help Coloradans rise out of poverty. Many of which we've connected before, such as my eligibility policy teams, my operations. Specifically, there's a few people I want to thank specifically: Sean Boddicker, Ana Bordallo, Beverly Hessicorn, Tammy Costello, and some of my other teams that I had the privilege to work with over time. And I have to say a huge thank you to my husband as well, and my mommy and my daddy, Alicia and Luis. They couldn't listen to this right now, but I'm hoping I can have access to the recording later to show them. And even my grandma, I have my adopted grandma, my husband's grandma is now my grandma, who have listened to me often about vet ideas and have been there for me and as an extension, even my team, because I vetted and they give me some ideas and I do go back to my team and go back to our partners. So thank you, and more importantly, thank you all very much. I'm hearing a lot of passion. I'm hearing a lot of just determination to make a difference here. So thank you for what you do every single day. Stay safe, and I really wish you everyone well as we continue moving through this pandemic.
Good afternoon. Wow, listen, I'm excited about all of these awardees. I'm Leanne Wheeler. I have the privilege of serving on the board of directors for Cclp. So I'm going to ask for a round of applause, as weird as that's going to occur for all of us in this virtual space. But these are some badass women and organizations. So forgive my language. I should have come with a trigger warning. I'm coming before you today to ask you to join me and our board of directors in our giving to the brilliant work that happens at Cclp and the brilliant work that Cclp does in community with our awardees and others. And so we have a unique opportunity at this time of year to match the Cclp board's $10,000 giving. And so I just ask simply that you would consider a monthly donation or a one-time donation as we continue on with our 3-day event. Again, I'm Leanne Wheeler. I thank you for your time this afternoon. Congratulations to all of our awardees. It just encourages my heart to know that this level of swashbuckling goes on for a community that doesn't always have a voice of its own. And quite frankly, as it was mentioned earlier, intentionally is silenced when it comes to living on this land, this stolen land in prosperity. So again, if you could move on over to our website, consider a one-time donation or a monthly donation. That makes it easy. That's what I do. That way I don't have to think about it. $10 a month. We're not headed to Starbucks anyway. Most of us aren't. Although I suspect folks will be, online for the new In-N-Out burger on tomorrow. But I'm going to ask you to skip that and give that meal amount to Cclp. So Godspeed. Appreciate you all. Thanks for all that you do. Be safe. Happy holidays.
Thank you so much. Congratulations, everyone. Look forward to seeing you all later on today for our mini segments on health and food. Thank you again, and I wish you all a wonderful afternoon. You have filled my heart, and I thank you for that. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.